Do you have to be at work at 4?
No, but it's my second job. Fishing?
Oh my God, that's not a second job. You're a piece of shit. That's your... that's just your hobby. Plus, think about all those poor fish that are like being dragged out of the water as you're pulling them up, and they're like, "Ah, such a beautiful day. Oh God, what the fuck is happening? I can't breathe."
Does that make it better?
but they can't breathe, and then you throw them back in, and they're like, "Oh God, that was fucking weird."
But they can go home and tell Jimmy and Ryan, like, yo, I got abducted. Like, that's their alien abduction story.
Oh, God.
No, I put them back. If it's trout, I would probably keep trout. But it's just bass. That's what I fish for. And they go back.
Would you keep them to raise?
What?
Would you keep them, like, to raise, or would you keep them
to eat? They would die.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Smoked trout, you have never had good fish if you have not had smoked trout.
Listen, man, there's no such thing as good fish.
What?
Fish is disgusting. No, I'm serious. I don't fuck with seafood at all.
At all? No shrimp? No lobster? No crab legs?
Actually, okay, hang on. So I do occasionally order salmon, but it is every time that I go out and I think about ordering seafood, I remember that it's disgusting.
What?
But occasionally I'll get salmon. I do like tuna, actually. Tuna I'll put on salads. I think that is pretty good. It's my southern upbringing or what have you.
Gave you tuna?
Yeah, dude. Are you shitting me?
No. I like tuna, but when you say my southern upbringing gave it to me, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, you went out and caught some trout or something. Like, that's the southern upbringing.
Oh, no.
No, you went to the store and walked down.
Yeah, I went to the store and I bought Starkist.
Yeah. God, okay, great.
I also genuinely like scallops. I think scallops are pretty good.
So you do like seafood. You just don't like the fish. I like very, very specific seafood, and I do not like to eat it all the time. I know motherfuckers, like, when we go to the beach, and they'll just sit there and be like, yeah, let's go to this place. I'm like, but they only serve fish. And they're like, well, yeah, what's wrong with that? Like nah, bruh. See, I can't fuck with crab legs, man. It's way too much work. Oh, my God. Skyrim's too expansive. There's too much to do. Crab legs have too much fucking work to put into them. Jesus.
Yeah, get out of here, Dylan. You and your damn seafood.
I just said I'm going fishing.
Hello and welcome to Hunting Pixels, the official video game podcast of Culture Bop and the Culture Bop family of entertainment. I am your host, the Bebop Man, Josh McMullen, and I am joined today by none other than Austin 10 out of 10 Stevens. How you doing, buddy?
Good, man. Where did the 10 out of 10 come from? I saw that in the outline. I was like, what?
Well, it's thematic.
Are you saying I'm a 10 out of 10? Because that's really sweet.
Not quite.
My wife doesn't even tell me that, G.
Well, that's that's something.
He's like, I don't really think this fight is my place. So.
We're gonna have to have a little talk about this after the podcast is recorded with HR.
Turns off the podcast, goes into full therapy session.
So yeah, 10 out of 10 is thematic. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
Dylan, we're also here with you today. I fucked your intro all up. It's Dylan Final Thoughts Martin. Boy, I'm
really, really shoe in for host of the year right now.
I'm just going to let you keep talking, honestly.
You're doing great, dude.
Boy. I don't know if you guys noticed this or not, but when I was listening back while editing the pilot episode, if you will, my voice was really unnecessarily deep, and I genuinely don't know why, because my voice isn't normally as deep as it was in that episode. You were 110%
tired that night. I know you were.
That might be what it was.
Oh, absolutely. I went back and listened to it, and like I was listening to it in the car with Madison. And she was like, "Who the fuck is talking?" I was like, "Oh, that's Josh." And she was like, "What? Did he take like 10 levels of testosterone to get that fucking deep? Like, I don't understand."
Dude, it didn't sound like me almost at all.
No, it didn't. It really didn't. It was kind of scary, actually.
Yeah, I'm excited for my true voice to be out there in the open.
Yes,
so to speak.
Well, I appreciate the intro, Josh.
I don't know that I
am. Boy, this guy trying to.
He said, "Shut the fuck up. Get the ball rolling. Let's go."
Right.
I gotta get up at 4 a.m. to go fucking fishing. Let's go.
He's got to go fuck them fish
down that road.
Okay, well, as I was saying earlier, your little nicknames this week were thematic to our main topic of the show that we will get to shortly, where we'll be talking about review scores. But before we get there, we didn't do this obviously last time with the pilot episodes, but the way that since this will be the first regular format episode that anybody will be listening to, I figure I'll run down the format real quick, and then we can get started. So we'll probably usually have our little introductions and our bullshit, and then we'll launch into what we've been doing in terms of, really just anything in life. And then we'll hop into the main topic, which will be a little kind of like deep dive in some sort of gaming related topic. This week, again, is reviews and review scores. Then we'll talk a little bit about what we've been playing. We'll do, after we're done with that, we'll go into a few quick things with the news. And we'll end on a little segment I call Pick of the Week, where we will shout out something for you to check out. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Austin, since Austin decided he wasn't going to fill out the document this week. What have you been doing in the past 2 weeks?
All right. So first of all, I didn't fill out the document because my bank account ran out of money, and on iPhones you can't download an app if you owe Apple money. So therefore, I could not download the document app. So, but pretty much for the last 2 weeks, but I've mostly just been watching anime, just trying to kind of catch up, because I've rewatched Evangelion probably like 30 times since February. So there's a lot of really good animes that have come out that I've missed out on. So I watched Fire Force, really good, really cringy though. Dialogue is not great. A lot of titties. It's a very ecchi anime sometimes. So a lot of titties, a lot of ripped clothes. And she wants me to start Demon Slayer, and I probably will. It looks really good. The animation in that show just
animation on that show, looks so good.
I started reading the manga, and because so I really want to watch it dubbed, because I'm a degenerate and I don't really enjoy watching subbed anime, because I like to do other stuff while I'm watching anime. Like, I'll sit in my game room and have Hulu pull up on my computer, and I'll be playing GameCube or something like that. So I don't really like to watch sub, because plus I feel like I can't really watch the action. Like, if it's a really high-paced anime, I can't watch it while trying to read what they're saying at the same time. That might just be a me thing. It might just be because I'm stupid. I don't know. It's one or the other. So I've been kind of waiting for it to come out dubbed, but then I was like, well, fuck. If I'm just going to watch it sub, I'm just going to read it, because 9 times out of 10, the manga's usually better anyway. So that's pretty much it. Been rewatching Fire Force, or finishing Fire Force, reading Demon Slayer, and I bought a Wii lot the other day. I don't know why I did that, but I did it. Paid $50 for a Wii and a bunch of really terrible games that I've never heard of.
Boy.
But
That sounds
Smash was
like
in there, so that's neat.
fun.
Yeah, and then I went to Video Game Trader and spent $50 on Wii games. So
This fucking guy. That's why you don't have money in your account to download Google Docs.
because I spent $50 on Video Game Trader, but thank God I have Bakugan and Spider-Man Web of Shadows for the Wii.
Oh, God. I hope that that wasn't picked up in my audio, but I bet it was. Dylan.
I heard it, so yeah, it was.
Oh, wonderful. Dylan, so it says that you've been fishing like your life depends on it. What exactly does that entail?
Doing this again. Different. Last time I
Well, I mean, I don't really understand because you don't eat the fish.
Nope.
So obviously your life does not depend on
This
it.
is enticing me into a place I don't want to go. You're luring me down into a dark alley. Get the shit out of me.
Come here, little boy. No, that's way too creepy.
Wow.
Okay,
Yeah,
that's
no.
weird. That just got weird. I didn't like that. I don't think I want you in the same room with my son anymore.
I don't even get an intro. I don't even get to speak about what I've been
Boy, you didn't get an intro because I'm a fucking
No,
idiot
go ahead.
host. Like,
I don't even know what I've been doing.
All right.
Oh, I got an apartment coming. I'll have it.
oh yeah. You're moving.
Nice.
I am moving. It's
Nice.
But yeah, people don't take your internet for granted. 4 years without it, having to use a mobile hotspot connection, it's not great. It's not
Yeah.
good at all. So the fact that I'll have 250 down, and I can download anything I want to and play anything I want to, stream whatever, that's a different world.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's awesome. When we lived with my wife's parents, we had horrible fucking internet. It was god awful, the worst thing I'd ever encountered. And then when we got this house, I bought AT&T Fiber, and it's a godsend. It's like a whole new world.
That's what I'm looking forward to. I mean, shit, I'd have been happy with 20, but they offered me 250, so I'm not turning that down.
For real.
Oh, hell no. Why would you?
Nope. But no, that's what I've been doing. Just kind of doing the F word and then moving, getting that stuff.
Nice.
Very cool. Very cool.
Where are you moving to?
He's moving over here near me. Actually, he's like, you're going to be what, like 5-10 minutes away?
That's at the most, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
Weird.
Yeah. I'm
Now that whole
sorry to hear that.
It's
Also,
got me a little worried, to be honest.
boy, I actually, I was thinking you were telling me the kind of area that you were moving to. And I was like, I really think there's only like one set of apartments over that way. So I think I know exactly where you live without you having told me the exact address.
And you know what car I drive.
You just-
Right next to me every day. That's cool.
You're just going to be knocking on your door at 4 a.m. Like,
I don't even think I'll get a courtesy knock.
Oh, man. Yeah, just break
So
right.
you might, honestly, you might not. I
God,
wouldn't be shocked.
that's the
Hey.
creepiest fucking thing that I think I've ever said to anyone ever.
Yep, and again, it happens at night, right before I go to bed, so that's going to stay with me.
So you get to think about it. You get to let it simmer overnight.
Yeah, I know his face that's in my head. I close my eyes and I see his smile smiling back at me. And I've only seen his face in a mask for the past 4 months, so it's in a mask too. That makes
Oh,
me-
God.
So it's even worse. He's about to, like, harvest your fucking organs or something.
Yeah. Dr.
Boy.
Mullen.
They do fetch a pretty good price on the black market, I hear.
Great. I hear.
He said, so I've heard.
Yeah. I wouldn't actually know or anything.
Remember, the FBI's listening.
God bless the FBI for listening to my garbage ass conversations with my friends.
I'm more concerned
Honestly.
with the fucking ads that appear after I mention half a word, and it's like the
Yeah.
exact thing that I.
Dude, I know. It's fucking weak. Me and Madison were sitting on the couch the other day. I was drunk as hell. And I was like, well, I'm finna Uber eat some McDonald's. And as soon as I fucking said that, I'm watching a documentary about Britney Spears on YouTube, and I get an ad for fucking McDonald's.
Wow.
I get a fucking ad from McDonald's.
What a fucking combination of words.
Hashtag free Britney. She's in some real shit right now, bro.
Oh,
For real, for any of the 5 people that listen to this, or that will listen to this, if you don't know about that, look up the hashtag free Britney and dive into that fucking wormhole. It's fucked up.
Fuck.
It is a fucked up scenario.
All right.
But maybe that's a podcast for another day.
I didn't watch anything fucked up this week, which is good. I didn't watch a Britney documentary. I did, however, watch What We Do in the Shadows, both the movie and the first 4 episodes of the TV show. And
okay.
Are you guys familiar with What We Do in the Shadows at all?
Not.
No idea.
Okay. Oh, no, Austin, no.
What?
I think you said that you do know What We Do in the Shadows. I think you were making a terrible pun. It doesn't matter.
No, I said no idea. I don't.
Oh, okay. All right.
Gosh,
So,
pay attention.
yeah, seriously. So What We Do in the Shadows is a 2015 film from Taika Waititi. He's the guy who did Thor Ragnarok. He's also the guy who did what's the name of the movie from last year? Jojo Rabbit. That's it. And Hunt for the Wilder People. He's a New Zealand filmmaker. He's really good. He's very funny. I like all of his movies. But What We Do in the Shadows is a mockumentary about vampires in New Zealand and basically just going through their, day-to-day life. And it's really, really funny and very heartwarming. I don't know what to say about it other than I really enjoy it. It's like right up my alley with my sense of humor, and the fact that it has to do with vampires is like an extra plus for me. But the show kind of takes that premise of the movie, vampires living in like a flat together, and transports it to Staten Island instead of New Zealand. And it is really, really funny. There was one joke in particular that I thought was fucking hilarious, where one of the main vampires, he has a cursed witch's hat that's made from like witch flesh, and the whole premise of the episode is that they're going to meet with one of the vampires that they like rode on the boat with to get to Staten Island. And they all think that he's this cool guy or whatever. They get there, and really he's just trying to steal the cursed witch's hat. And so they end up leaving the nightclub. The guy has stolen the hat away from like the main character. And then the nightclub where they were just at blows up. And they go to the hospital to look after their friend or whatever. And the one vampire steals his hat back, and as he does, he looks down at him, and he's like all bandaged up and shit, and he goes, "I'm taking back my hat, you crispy piece of shit." And I don't know why, but it just made me laugh so fucking hard.
You crispy piece of shit.
Yeah, it's stupid.
I'm gonna start saying that. That's fun.
But it's very dry British humor. And it's about vampires, and I really, really enjoyed the first 4 episodes. Kayla and I are going to continue to watch it, probably, but if you have any sort of affinity for that sort of stuff, I highly recommend it. So,
Neato.
Well,
I'll check that out. That sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's on Hulu. Like I said, I think it's really good, but
Cool.
Anyway, but what say we get into the main topic of the show? And so review scores are something that's been around in gaming for a very long time, going back as far as like the trade magazine Play Meter. And while these reviews weren't exactly the same as you would see in like modern day gaming publications, the DNA for everything was there. So the entire reviewing process would evolve over time, obviously, and eventually get to where it is today with a variety of outlets having different interpretations of what reviews are, with some even doing away with the standard review score. And recently, gaming journalism and the entire reviewing process has come under fire with movements such as like the early days of GamerGate taking issue with journalistic malpractice, and really more recently, and the reason that this topic even thought to cross my head was the entire controversy over The Last of Us Part 2's review scores. So I think this has led a lot of people to question whether or not reviews and their related scores are really even necessary. And I think that's what we intend to discuss today. So, I mean, do you guys have any like high level thoughts about reviews and review scores? Like, do you think that they're necessary? Do you know what even the purpose of a review is? Like, I just want to get your guys' general thoughts.
For me, it really depends on the outlet that I'm watching or reading the review from. Like the comment I made earlier when we first tried setting this whole thing up tonight, when I talked about IGN. I cannot take anything IGN says fucking legitimately. I can't. Because you read through their reviews, or you pretty much every review that they type up, they make a bullshit fucking video for it. And I don't know if it's just me that feels this way. It might just be me being an asshole. But it's almost like every time I watch an IGN review, I'm like, did you even fucking play the game? Like, did you even make it past the opening 10-minute cutscene? Because half the fucking time it feels like they didn't. Like when the Battle for Bikini Bottom remake come out. I don't know why that's the first review that popped into my head from them.
Of course it
is. Probably because it's the most fucking recent one that I've read. Because I saw people on Reddit shitting on it. Their whole thing was that they were like, the game feels very dated. The game's not very fun. It's got frame rate issues. It's got load time issues. Well, yeah, those are actual serious issues with the fucking game. It's a remake from like 2000, and it's barely a remake. Honestly, it's really just a glossed over port. It's a port with a fresh coat of fucking paint. It's not a remake. They didn't really add anything. The only thing they added were, I think there were 2 boss fights that were cut from the original game that they added for the remake. And I haven't experienced those yet because the Switch version of the game is so bad that it's almost unplayable. That's kind of my fault for buying it on the Switch. I do also have it on Xbox because I game share with a buddy who just buys pretty much anything and everything. So I do have it on Xbox. I haven't played it yet on Xbox, partly because I played through like 85% of the game on the Switch before it really started to feel unbearable. So, but it just nothing they said was consistent. And I feel like that's an issue with a lot of review sources like IGN. Like, they'll shit on the game for one thing and then they drop it later on in the review, or they even fucking praise it in some cases, which doesn't make sense to me at all. Like, if you're going to do a review, it needs to be consistent, and it has to. Even if you didn't finish the game, at least make it sound like you played a majority of the game, or at least half. Because I feel like a lot of reporters from IGN don't. Like with when they did the big controversial review for Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. What did they say? They gave it like I think it was like a 7.4 out of 10, and they said their biggest complaint in the game was it had too much water. There's too much water.
I remember that. Too much water type Pokemon, yeah.
And I mean, for Gen 3, that is a valid complaint, because literally half, like a fourth of the game takes place in water-based cities, and you have to traverse over water, and a good portion of the region's terrain is pretty much just the fucking ocean. So, yeah, but when you reviewed the original Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, that wasn't an issue for you. But when you reviewed the 3DS remakes, that costed it 2.5 points. Like, that's what I mean by consistent. Like they don't they don't weigh things out the same. And sometimes I feel like a lot of their really good reviews, they are split a paycheck to say it was a good game or not. I know a lot of people think that was the case with The Last of Us because they do that with a lot of PlayStation exclusives. Even if the game wasn't necessarily good, they still give it like an 8 or a 9 or. Well, didn't they give The Last of Us a perfect score?
The original one, yeah, that got a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, The Last of Us 2. I mean, didn't that one get a perfect score?
I'm genuinely not sure on IGN's review. I want to say it got a 9, but I'm not sure.
I haven't played the game, so I can't say whether that review score is valid. I'm probably never going to play it. I don't know, maybe one day. If I get a PS5 and they port it, which I'm sure they will, I'll play it. But
oh, no, yeah, you're right. It is 10 out of 10.
Oh, okay. See, that's what I thought. And a lot of people were like, there's a lot of things here that should have made this game not a fucking 10.
Yeah.
Like I said, I can't speak for that because I didn't play it. You're the one playing it, so.
Yeah, I was going to say, we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
We'll drag that game through the month later.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I think that. So I'm of two minds with this. One is with big outlets, we have to take into account that different people have different taste, and like even though IGN is the website that gave The Last of Us Part 2 a 10 out of 10, it wasn't IGN the outlet; it was one of their writers. So
yeah, they have several different writers and journalists.
So that's something that we definitely have to take into consideration when we're talking about reviews and review scores is like
Absolutely.
Personal bias obviously will weigh in on any review. Like if I go to write my own review for like The Last of Us 2, I'm like video games is one of my big hobbies, right? But like the thing that I'm probably most passionate about in the entire world is movies. So a lot of times when I go into story-based games, my first like instinct when it comes to like if I were to write a review for anything would be critiquing the story from a like a storytelling perspective that I've gotten from movies, right? So like that would be my own personal bias, and it's hard to really divorce yourself from those things sometimes. Or this is an even better example. Like, so if you're playing like a JRPG or let's say you're playing Persona and you love Persona, the series, and you have to review like Persona 5, you're probably going to give Persona 5 a higher score because you're a fan of that series. Whereas like someone who, not necessarily that you're going to give it a higher score, but you will be judging Persona as a fan of the series. So like you'll be judging it against the other entries within that series. Whereas someone who has never played a Persona game and just happens to like JRPGs will come.
You're going to judge it against other JRPGs.
Exactly. Like they're going to have a completely different tact on the way that they.
That makes sense. I see where you're going.
So. We definitely have to take that into account, but I think that there are some very genuinely like thoughtful and I'm lost for the word that I'm trying to search for right now, but there are some very legitimate critiques that people can level against like the IGNs of the world when it comes to their review scores. And I had a train of thought that I was going down, and then I just kept trying to think about the word that I was trying to search for, and now my entire train of thought is just ruined. I don't know. I lost it. Dylan, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll pick up that fumble. I think review scores are completely arbitrary.
Yeah, agreed.
A lot as a consumer, I have beef with IGN too, and it's a lot of just the big websites. GameSpot, back in the day, I would have trusted their reviews.
Oh, absolutely.
Just profoundly above anything else. But even today, I see it more of, there's a new game that came out. It's now their job to play and review the game. I'm sure they like it. I'm sure they enjoy playing it. But when I want to find out about a game, I do not go to IGN or GameSpot or whatever. I'll try and go to where the consumer base is, like the players, us. That's what I want to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never personally agreed with a rating system in terms of 1 through 10, 1 through 5, A, B, C, D, F. I don't think that is how we should review a game. I don't think a game should have a 1 through 10 numerical rating system. And the reason is, where do we start drawing the line with the numbers? I mean, The Witcher 3, in my opinion, is one of the pinnacle of gaming achievements. That's one of the best games to ever come out. It's not just my opinion. It's a fact with how many awards it's won.
Oh, yeah. It's nothing has knocked it off its throne.
Right. Nothing. It's huge.
I don't think anything ever will.
That game got a 9.3. A 9.3. What happened in that review with IGN, I'm basing this off of IGN's review, the person who reviewed it stated that the story was too long-winded and it felt like a chore instead of a mystery to unravel, which I don't know what game they played. Not for me to say. But the point is, everything else about the game was perfect to them. The side quest, the combat, the exploration, it was all great. The one thing to knock it off of its throne in their eyes from a 10 to a 9.3 was a long-winded story. So my thing is why did that take off 0.7%? Like, where did you review that game to? Why can't we just make it a 9 out of 10? Why did you give it a 0.3? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
that number make it different.
I understand where you're going.
And then Alpha Sapphire. I mean, I'll go back to that because it is one of the worst reviewed games. Like, and I don't mean it's a bad game. I think it's a great game. But the person who reviewed it, I knew something was wrong with that person reviewing it when they describe the game as having beautiful landscapes, and then they say from volcanoes to the deserts to the beaches. And in my head, as a person who played that game more than 5 minutes, you're on an ocean. There's going to be beaches, first off, so let's not even mention that. This person said from the volcanoes to the deserts. That's literally right next to each other in the game. Like, you could throw a rock and hit the volcano from the desert. Like, she didn't mention the many islands or the giant mountains or, Evergrande City being a city on top of a frickin' waterfall, or Moss Deep City with the space station. She literally said a volcano and a desert. They're right next to each other in the game.
Literally, the desert is pretty much at the foot of the fucking volcano.
Yep, that's it. Like, you could cover so much in that game, but you literally chose the two things next to one another. There's a ton of stuff to see in that game. But that took it down to that 7.8 score. She said that the use of HMs were too much. Like, I'm sorry, I grew up playing where I had to have HMs to get through the game. Sword and Shield have streamlined that now. So did Sun and Moon. They streamlined it to where you didn't have to have the HM slaves. You had your way around it. I get that. But growing up, that's how we played it. So I didn't expect my hand to be held, nor would I knock a Pokemon game for making you do that. That's their roots. That's what Ruby and Sapphire did. So again, that's something else that knocked it down to the 7.8, but then you touched on it as well. It was too much water. Like, again, we just got finished with Kanto and Johto at the time. Those were two heavy land-based regions that we could explore, so they switched it up entirely, gave us something brand new with the Hoenn region, because it was a lot of land, but it was also on a coastal region as well. You could traverse not only parts of the ocean and find a floating ocean out into the middle of the water, like a floating town out in the middle of water. That was cool in itself.
Mm-hmm.
You had Moss Deep City, which is its own island, and there's a fucking space station on it. When they say too much water, yeah, there was a lot of water to traverse, but you had ways to get around it quickly. You could get to these places, and they were beautiful.
The biggest thing for me is, I think, especially about the too much water issue with the ORAS pair, or even the original trilogy of Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald. It's been, Pokemon's done a really good job at, the regions are, if you lay them over a map of the specific area they're based on, those maps will line up fucking exactly. And if you look at the region of Japan that Poland was based on, that's what would fucking be there, is a lot of fucking water.
It's that coastal region.
Yep.
It's like they took a leap. They said, okay, they had Kanto Johto, let's give them something different. They brought something innovative, and instead of being happy with that, it became a chore because, in that reviewer's words, they had to utilize surf and dive wasn't fun enough, and it was just too much to explore. It's like, where did that make the game drop to a 7.8, along with the, just the whole HM thing? It's like, there's very basic complaints that took a good game. So what Alpha Sapphire and Omega Ruby did was it took the third generation of games, which everyone at the time wanted to be remade, and they did it in an exquisite fashion. They built it from what seems like the ground up. If you go into the third gym, like that city, Mauville City, it's a completely different...
Oh yeah, completely overhauled.
...original games. It was like a little... I think she actually said it in the review, and I agree with it. It's like a little Lumio City from X and Y.
Yeah, that's what it was intended to be.
Yeah, and it felt good and comfortable. So instead of focusing on all these high points, we nitpick at certain things that we don't like. And I get that as a reviewer, but I don't think we should, or as a game player, I should say, but I don't think we should give a numerical value. What are we even deriving these numbers from in the first place? Like, like these two tiny little nitpick complaints. There's too much water, too much, and too many water type Pokemon. That was the big thing. But also having to utilize HM moves, hidden machines. It's like, why did that make the game go down 2.2 points? It's why do we have to use these numbers? And that's what I don't appreciate as a game player myself. It's like when I want to know about a game, especially one that's just coming out, what I'm reading to find out about is the game. I don't need a number assigned to it.
Exactly.
Honest opinion. When I go to these big places now, like IGN or GameSpot, I feel like I'm reading a very commercialized game review. I feel like that is their job to review this game, and they don't care about much else. And I get that. That is their job. That is what they're doing. But at some point, it stopped being about the games and it started being about the money. Is how I see it.
Yeah, I agree.
I just I don't like what a lot of these companies are doing now, because I feel like if you want an honest opinion of what a game is, you go and you look. And I hate to use like Reddit as an example, but you could go to a subreddit for that game and you can probably get some really honest opinion and feedback. You could ask questions. That's really like that we're in the gaming world right now, because we're all so connected. We can go to these different forums and hubs and apps and whatever, and you can join a community and you can ask about a game. You don't have to go read about a review that assigns some random number. It doesn't even mean anything to slap a 10 on a game anymore.
No.
Like, back in the day, Grand Theft Auto 4 getting a 10 was a huge thing from GameSpot. Like, that was massive. And then it's like more and more games, especially IGN. IGN has this really cool thing they do where they just look. I'm not gonna get IGN, but
yeah,
it's just that's the example of what a game review should not be is what they do. I feel it just doesn't feel genuine.
Yeah, I understand.
When you can read reviews, I mean, it's just where these numbers came from. Maybe back in the day they meant something, but as of now they feel so obsolete and it's just dated. I would rather, even though I disagree with what the guy said about The Witcher 3, I can respect it. Like, his whole write-up was beautiful. It captured what the game truly was. Even though I disagree with the part about the story, he was honest throughout the whole thing. And that's what a review should be. But all these other things, like just the whole assigning numbers and knocking off points for things that are so minuscule. And then you take a potentially great game and you turn someone away because it's like, if I see a game with a 7 out of 10, to me that says like, oh, that's an okay game. Like, I'm not excited to play that. And what if I would have looked at that if I wasn't a Pokemon fan and I would have seen that for Alpha Sapphire and I would have been like, I'm not so sure about this, but it's a great game and I could have missed that opportunity. I know not a lot of people are like that, but to the ones that are, it's just, I would rather read a heartfelt review from a person who actually cares about the game than someone who got paid to do it.
My thing is, I think the number system, I think the number system as a whole is an extremely outdated process. Because when I look up a review of a game or when I watch a review of the game, one of my favorite places to go, because honestly, I buy more all my current gen stuff I pretty much buy on Switch. I don't really buy a whole lot of Xbox stuff because, as I've stated numerous times, I have a buddy that does all that shit for me, so I don't have to. So I just play pretty much whatever he's like, oh, hey, this is good, try it out. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. But at heart, I'm a Nintendo guy. I have a Switch collection, I have a Wii collection, I have a DS, Game Boy, 3DS collection, I have a GameCube collection. So when I want to watch a review on a Switch game, there's a guy on YouTube, his name is Beat 'em Ups. He's this long-haired Australian dude. And he's funny, he's genuine, he's very passionate about Nintendo, but he's also not afraid to step out and be like, all right, well, Nintendo dropped the ball on this one, because this game, in my opinion, kind of sucks. Like, he released a review talking about how much he hated Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and I love the Xenoblade franchise. They are some of my favorite JRPGs that I've ever played. But they're fantastic games, and I would like to see more reviewers do the style of review that he does, where he gives his honest, compassionate thoughts. He's like, here's what I love about the game. Here's what I didn't like about the game. Not just, well, here's a number. It's a 7 out of 10, or it's a 6 out of 10, or it's a 5 out of 10. I don't care about the score. I don't want to see the score. That doesn't, because at the end of the day, that doesn't determine whether I'm gonna buy a game or not. Yeah, what does determine, it literally tells me nothing. Like, I've seen people post up reviews on, like review sections on GameStop websites, and which doesn't even matter, because really you should never be on GameStop's website buying from them anyway. But
your crusade against GameStop never fails to amuse.
Podcast,
dude. We're just roasting everybody now. This is what this is. It's a roast.
So to both of your points, right? I think that what Austin is trying to say is something that I fully agree with, in that I think that instead of going to these big sites and not necessarily taking animosity towards them, because I don't know that that's necessarily right, because I mean, they are paid to do that, and that, maybe weighs into their bias a little bit. But at the end of the day, it's like their job to deliver something for us to consume. I think if you're going to frequent those sites, you need to find people within those sites that you can relate to and agree with, and then follow their reviews. It's the reason that I bring Austin into this is because he's talking about this YouTuber. I don't really go to IGN anymore. I used to. I used to frequent there a lot. And I don't really go to like Giant Bomb. I don't really go to a lot of these websites that have reviews because I've found people who are either on YouTube or through podcast, and I trust their opinions, and they're who I follow. And that's not to say that like you should follow people who are going to think what you think and that you should just blindly follow their opinion, because I frequently disagree with a lot of the people that I follow, but I trust that they're going to tell me what they think. Like Austin said with his Nintendo guy, he loves Nintendo, but he's going to take Nintendo to task when they do something wrong. And those are the kind of people that I think it is imperative that we, as like the video game community or whatever you want to call us, needs to do. Because to Austin's point, these big outlets are outdated. They just are. YouTube, for better or worse, is probably the future of where video game content creation is going to go. And to bring it back to Dylan's point, review scores I think are really outdated. And I think that they have needed to be gone for a really long time, because I've legitimately seen reviews where the material like in the review will lead me to believe that like the reviewer didn't like the game, and then I get to the bottom and it's 8 out of 10. Like, dude, that doesn't track.
No,
like that doesn't track.
Yeah, like that doesn't make any sense.
But also, like, how do you like? I was listening to. Do you guys know who Alana Pierce is? Okay, yeah. So she used to work for IGN, and she has a podcast with Troy Baker, who's a voice actor. Austin Ellery, I think is his name, who is a composer for video games, and Mike Bithell, who is an independent game developer. And they were talking about review scores, again, in conjunction with The Last of Us. And she brought up the point that the reason that you see 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s so frequently is because a lot of games that are reviewed are good to great. Like, you don't see as many of the bad games reviews because people aren't asking for those reviews. People don't click on those reviews. So you can't make the ad revenue, whatever.
Yeah.
And to that point, I think that is probably a fair way to think about things, because people aren't asking you to review the bad games. And to that point, there are a ton of, I'm sure, atrocious games that come out on all of the individual platform stores every week that no one buys. Like, these games will maybe sell maybe 100 copies. Like, they're not going to sell, and they're atrociously bad games. And why would IGN specifically, like if we're going to talk like major outlets or whatever, why would they waste their time reviewing this game that only 100 people are going to buy? So to make, or to her point, that makes sense. But also to me, I feel like there's been this weird, because we're talking about the review scores being arbitrary, I really feel like there's this weird tendency for everything to be like, if it is a 7, that is the baseline. And I don't think that that's really correct, because you have a 10-point scale. The baseline should be 5, and everything should either build or detract from that. So, like, if you started a baseline of 5, and then the game has got, like, I don't know, like 3 really good parts, that brings it up to an 8, but then it's got, like, 2 really bad parts, that should bring it down to a 6. Right? It shouldn't be a matter of, like, it starts at a 7, and then it can work its way up to a 10, or it can fall down. I think it should start at a 5, and then, things add to that score or they detract from that score. And I don't understand why there is a dearth of 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s when there's a whole scale that could be used, if that makes sense. But to that point, scores are useless. I think that reviews should be, you should take the time to listen to what the person is saying and then draw your own conclusions from that. If they're telling you, I really had a fun time with this game, the gameplay is good, the graphics aren't, spectacular, blah, 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 and the story isn't all that good, but you can gather from what he's saying that, like, if you like gameplay focused games, this is a good gameplay focused game, I should buy it. Like, that's, I really think it's, the onus is on us as consumers to seek out those people who will give you their honest opinion, and then you can infer from their opinion whether or not you should buy it. Like, you should not go out and be like, well, this is an 8 out of a 10. I guess I'll pick it up, because you could hate that game. There's,
oh yeah,
like, it doesn't make any sense that you should just do your purchasing decisions based on a arbitrary score that someone just shits out into the ether. Like, that doesn't make sense to me. But I feel like it is a lot more nuanced than what has come out recently, especially in regards to The Last of Us 2's review scores and that whole like review bombing on Metacritic and all of that stupid fucking garbage. Like, really, I'm going to say this, and I genuinely, like, I mean it. If this offends you, like, I'm sorry, but like, if you're one of those people who hasn't fucking played The Last of Us Part 2 and is out there giving on Metacritic, like, the consumer scores 0s out of 10s, and you've never fucking played it, and you're just upset because there's a lesbian protagonist, or that there's a trans character in there, or whatever you think the woke agenda is, fuck you. And I mean that, like, sincerely.
Honestly. You're a fucking idiot. Wholeheartedly, you're a fucking idiot.
You can't, like, go out and have an opinion on a game that you've never fucking played. And you can't have an opinion based on what your perceived level of wokeness or whatever the fuck it is in that game. Like,
but with
you're an asshole.
I mean, there's always going to be people that do shit like that.
Oh, yeah, yeah. And
I'm not
absolutely
defending those people, but we know that those people exist. And again, it's just one of those reasons to not believe everything you see. I think we're in a great place right now, because from when I grew up to now, gaming has evolved, and it is the biggest. It's just growing. It's at its peak right now, and it's only going to continue to grow. And especially in the coming years, when esports becomes a more, streamlined thing and mainstream thing, it's going to be bigger and bigger. But the cool thing is that more people play games now than they ever have before. And we, as a consumer base, can simply pick up the phone and ask one another, because most likely, if I've not played a game, you have played it. And if you've not played a game, Austin's played it. And if, there's always somebody out there that you can go to. Yes, we turn to these places online. We turn to the people that we are familiar with, the places that we are familiar with, Metacritic being one of them. And we look at everything going on with that. There are the people giving it the 0s for this reason and that reason, and they're completely making the game's review score cascade downwards. And that's awful in itself. But again, that's where the whole, the whole thing from the podcast comes. It's review scores are obsolete. But the cool, bring it back to the friendships that you have now in gaming can be so versatile, because the reasons you don't like Skyrim are the reasons I love it. So even though I get your negative input, it's like, I don't like it. I got lost in it. It's way too big. There was too much to do. Didn't like the combat for this and this reason. I hear that, when I listen to the podcast that we just did and we were talking about it and the points that you were talking about, I got to hear reasons that I would want to play the game. So I think that's cool that we can do away with everything that we're seeing on these online forums. We can do away with the review scores, and we can turn to each other. Because I think that's what we need to do more of, especially now that just us and this group right now, we have developed a relationship over the past month that we're on the phone every day texting like something, whether it's just a hey, hi, hello, that's fine, but it's three gamers that didn't know each other prior to this whole thing starting, and we have this little group now that we turn to, and we're like, hey, this game's kind of cool, I'm playing this, just got this. There's a lot going on, especially you, Josh, have fed me information on The Last of Us 2, because all I heard was straight negativity, and I expressed those to you, and you came to me and said, dude, no. Like, you gave me the sight that I needed into a game that I thought I might never play just because I kept hearing bad things. So again, I did away with the online stuff, and I went to where I should go. And it's kind of like what you were saying, but in a much more close and social aspect. It's you should find people that you trust, and you should listen to them. Mm-hmm. That just so happens to be my very close group of friends. Like, I can turn to you guys and you can give me the reviews that I want, and not a single time have any of you ever thrown a number at the end of a game.
Yeah, and I think we kind of touched on it earlier. Other than YouTube, in my opinion, other than watching somebody who reviews games on YouTube, I would 100% think the best place to get a feel over a game or not is fucking Reddit. And that sounds ridiculous coming out of my mouth, because I feel like you can never trust Reddit for anything. But when I watched it goes back to Xenoblade 2. When I watched that review of Xenoblade 2, I was like, shit, like, that game looked really good. Like, but my favorite YouTuber said it was bad. Maybe it's actually bad. But then I was like, fuck it. You know what? I'm just going to fucking buy it. So I bought Xenoblade 2, and then on the same purchase, I also bought the prequel. They did a prequel game called Torna, the Golden Country, which, little anecdote, I bought Xenoblade 2, super excited for it, played the first hour or two, and I was like, fuck, dude, I love this game. I'm going to buy the Season Pass. Bought the Season Pass. Realized that when you buy the Season Pass, you get a copy of Torna digitally for free. So I wasted $30 on Torna.
Heartbreak.
Well, here's what gets worse. The physical for Torna came in, which I'm a physical collector anyway. I don't buy digitally unless I absolutely cannot find it physically. Like with Battle for Bikini Bottom. Fuck, god damn it, I hate I'm going back to that so much. But like Battle for Bikini Bottom, on release day, I went to 5 fucking stores to find it, and I could not find it anywhere. I went to 3 GameStops, a Walmart, and a Best Buy, and I could not find it anywhere. So I was like, shit.
You mean you walked into a GameStop?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Him of all people.
Oh, man.
I didn't want to, but, the GameStop, as much as I shit on them, the GameStop locally to me, the one directly outside of the Mall of Georgia, that's the best one that I've ever been in. Dudes in there are super fucking helpful. They're all really nice guys. They give me deals and discounts because I used to spend a lot of fucking money in there. So they hook me up whenever I come in because they know I'm going to spend money if they do. Which probably says a lot more about me than it does about them. But that's neither here nor there, I guess.
I feel you, though, because if there's a clearance section in a Dick's or Academy, and I go in and I see some baits on clearance, I'm going to buy them immediately. And it's like, it's like they put stuff on sale.
Yeah.
And I turn around and buy everything in the store.
But with Torna, my physical copy came in, and I'm a physical collector, so I bought it physically. Opened the copy of Torna. There's a download code for the Season Pass for Xenoblade 2. So it really went full fucking circle. So if either of you guys ever pick up Xenoblade 2 and you want the fucking Season Pass, I got you. You could fucking have fun.
Look at that. Inside intel from a
boom.
But I was very disappointed to hear that somebody didn't like the game, or specifically my favorite go-to YouTuber that I'm not joking when I say I literally check his page every morning to see if he put out a new video the night before or whatever, and I watch his videos at dinner while I'm eating. I think he's a really good YouTuber. Really enjoyed his wholesome content. But I went to Reddit and I started reading stuff, and everyone's like, this game does have issues, but if you like JRPGs, give it a shot. You might absolutely love it. And I'm hooked. Within the moment I put it in my Switch and I started the intro and I started playing through the intro, I was a little confused, but about an hour in, when shit really starts hitting I'm not going to spoil anything because it's a relatively new game. Now, I think it's like 2 or 3 years old at this point. And I know you guys like JRPGs, so maybe it's something you'll pick up one day down the road, so I'm not going to fucking sit here and spoil anything. But shit really hits the fucking fan after about like 45 minutes. And at that point, Madison even said something because she looked at my face and she was like, I knew you were fucking hooked. Like, it was going to be hard to get you not to play this game. And I played it for like 3 or 4 straight days. Like, every bit of free time I had was sitting down playing Xenoblade 2. So, honestly, just go to Reddit. Just fucking go with it.
Well, it's also just, I mean, you made your own decision. You said no to, I mean, you made an informed decision. Whether you were informed that it was a bad game or good game, you made an informed decision, and you did not let a number dictate what you did or did not do.
Exactly.
And that's, when it comes back to The Last of Us, the whole review bombing bullshit, I know Josh already touched on it, but honestly, just an extra fuck you, because you're hurting the game's reputation and its sales, and people were really fucking, regardless of your feelings of a game, somebody spent numerous hours a fucking day developing that game just for you to never play it and get behind your fucking computer screen, your fucking phone, or your iPad, or whatever the fuck you use, and shitpost it for no reason. Like, this is someone's livelihood. You've never played it. You're just, maybe your friends are roasting it and you just want to hop in and you just roast it for no reason. You're hurting somebody else's work. And it just kind of makes you a fucking asshole.
Yeah. Agreed.
Honestly.
Well, that was, I feel like, a pretty thorough discussion on reviews, and also a takedown of assholes everywhere.
And how terrible GameStop is. Really, don't shop there. Stop.
Yeah, like I said, assholes everywhere.
Stop giving them your money. They don't care.
So how about we get into what we've been playing? And I think probably the best way to do this is again, Austin doesn't have anything written down, so we'll just beat him with a stick. But instead of going person by person, I think we'll go game by game. So, Dylan, tell me about Far Cry 3.
Oh, I was like, wow, that's a really good guess. I forgot I wrote it. Yeah. So, Far Cry 3 is actually something that got put on the back burner, but I did enjoy it. I haven't played a Far Cry in a long time, and when I say play a Far Cry, I mean more than an hour. So I kind of fell into the same thing with Far Cry 3. Like, I started playing it, and then I immediately got distracted on another.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But I touched back on it today, and I keep wanting to do more. But then as soon as I started playing and I got like 30 minutes into a mission, which is fun as hell, by the way, I am enjoying it, I was like, man, I could really go for some farming action on Stardew right now, which I say farming action, Josh, and I went straight to
Oh, God. Oh, God.
God. Like, even in gaming, it just doesn't let go.
Yeah, I can tell you exactly what I do on Animal Crossing, too. So.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, you can fish in Fire Emblem 3 houses, so give that one a go.
Dude, just all the fishing games.
All the fishing. Yeah. That's fine. But no, I've been playing a little of everything. Far Cry 3 has been on the list. Stardew Valley has been on the list. And I'm going back to replay The Last of Us. That's truly what I've put the most time into this week. I've dabbled with a little Pokemon here and there, trying to hatch a shiny Rowlet in Sword.
Oh, bro, you're doing the same fucking thing I am.
But The Last of Us...
Well, in that case, yeah, tell us about The Last of Us.
It holds up.
Are you playing the remastered version on PS4?
Yes, I am.
Oh, okay.
So, started diving into that earlier in the week, and I'm taking my time with it because I didn't rush through it the first time I played it, but I feel like I just wanted to see the story through to the end, and I just kept playing and playing. So this time I'm kind of slowing it down a little bit. Like, I'm just now inside of the high school with Bill, I believe his name is.
Okay. Yeah.
So that's where I'm at now. But I'm just taking the time to really enjoy the level detailing. Man, I'm telling you, I think I stood on one of those buildings inside the city with Tess and Ellie for a good 10 minutes just looking around. Like, for a game, and I know it's not that old. What, it came out in 2013 or something?
Yeah, 2013 was the PS3 release, and then I think the remaster was in 2014.
Yeah, so that's not that far back, but even still, graphics have come a long way in that time.
Yes,
but it holds up. I mean, I'm looking at it and it's like, wow! Like, even the characters and seeing how their faces drop and change with what they're saying. It just draws me in, and I'm having a lot more fun with it this time because it's a much slower pace. I'm playing it on a harder difficulty, so I'm having to Think about the choices that I'm making. That makes it more fun. Any horror game that I can amp up the difficulty on, like, that's so much fun. I mean, whatever it is, it's not really horror. It's more like action oriented, kind of like Resident Evil, but it does have some funny moments. I've said quite a few expletives playing that game, actually.
Yes, agreed.
But it's so much fun, and like just the atmosphere, because to get to the high school, we had to walk through a cemetery. That was my least favorite part of the whole game. Cemeteries have never bothered me in my whole life until I started playing it. And it's just...
That's hilarious.
I don't like it. But I think it's because a clicker grabbed me out from behind a tombstone, and I was just immediately petrified. I was like, nope. I think that was when I turned the game off for the day. And then I went to a happy game called Stardew Valley. But I've just been enjoying it, taking my time. I'm ready to see this one through to the end, and when I do, thanks to your input and your review, I will get The Last of Us 2, and I'll play through that and give it a go, because now I'm excited. I'm picking up on details I've not really caught before or paid much attention to in my first run. I haven't played the backstory either, by the way, like that little pre-chapter.
Oh, yeah, the Left Behind.
Yeah, I haven't done that. I don't know if I should have done that before I played the game.
I think you should play it after. Even though it's a prequel, I think it gives it's maybe a little bit better to have the context of everything that happens after, like chronologically.
That makes sense. Because I'm seeing, and I don't know, because I picked up on something. We were kind of close to where we're at now. We were in one of the upper rooms of a house building, and she saw an arcade machine, but there was an immediate attachment to it. And I picked up on that, and I was like, man, I wonder if that has anything, like if there's any kind of flashback in Left Behind. I put it in the back of my mind because I want to see if that comes into play or not. But even still, it's just picking up on little things that she likes. Because that's what the story's all about. I mean, it's a story of Joel and Ellie, but this is her story, much like The Walking Dead is Carl's story. I feel like this is Ellie's story.
Okay, yeah.
It's on her.
Okay, nice. Okay. Well, since I don't know what Austin's been playing because he refused to put it on the document, I'm going to briefly touch on the second two in my list. So I'm playing Ghost of Tsushima. It came out Friday.
I really want to hear your thoughts on that.
Okay, so I haven't really been able to put as much time into it as I would like, but I probably paid about, I'd say probably 2 or 3 hours at this point.
Okay.
I think the game is stunning from a art direction standpoint. I think the vibrant colors and the just like wide open landscapes are really, really striking, like jaw-droppingly so. But when you're not in a cinematic, I do feel like the fidelity of the game isn't quite as polished as a big AAA exclusive should be. Like, you look at The Last of Us 2 outside of the cutscenes, and the game is just absolutely stunning. And then when you get into the cutscenes, it's almost like photorealistic. It's genuinely fucking amazing what Naughty Dog was able to do with that game. But you look at Ghost of Tsushima, and like the moment-to-moment gameplay stuff just does not look nearly as good as the cutscene stuff. And even the stuff in the cutscenes just it I don't want to say looks dated, but like you can tell that this game has been long in development, if that makes sense. And it's kind of like taken away from the art direction aspect of it, I think, a little bit for me, because the art direction is so stunning. I really wish that the rest of the game was stunning. But outside of the visuals, the story, I genuinely haven't really gotten enough playtime with it to know if I like the story or not. So I'm not going to really comment on that. But the gameplay I really like so far.
That's good.
It does have it does have a little bit of a Infamous thing for me, where the open world just kind of doesn't work for me. Like, It does and it doesn't. Like it's cool to have this wide open like island off the coast of Japan that like you can explore, but there's not too much to that world. Like
there's not a whole lot to do.
Yeah, there it feels empty.
Okay.
And I know that like story wise, it kind of makes sense that like the cities aren't sprawling and stuff like that, and like the temples that you visit are kind of like clustered with little bits of people here and there.
Yeah.
But like it just feels like there's not enough to do so far. But again, maybe that opens up. I do need to spend a little bit more time with it. But the combat is very fun. The combat feels like for lack of a better phrase, it feels like a dumbed down Dark Souls. Like it's
Someone was saying like dumbed down Sekiro.
Yeah. I haven't played Sekiro, but I assume that it is very much like Bloodborne and Dark Souls, where like your movement and your timing is everything, and you can get real fucked up real quick if you miss your button mashes or anything like that. And I'm really enjoying that. But I can see why it would be frustrating for some people, specifically the people who can't do Dark Souls or Bloodborne or Sekiro because of how hard that is. But I like it so far.
Okay.
I really need to spend more time with it. The other game on my list, though, again, I'll touch on very briefly, is Dead by Daylight. This is the 2016 asymmetric multiplayer game that's horror focused. I picked it up on Steam as part of I didn't pick it up, actually. My friend bought it for me. It was on my wish list. But it was part of the Steam summer sale, and it was on sale for like $10 or something like that. And I've been playing it on PC for the first time ever, and the game is still just fun as it's always been. It's basically the premise, if you don't know, is you play as like you play as one person in a group of 4 players who your goal is to escape this kind of like hellish nightmare by turning on generators, which will open a door which you can escape out of. And the entire time that you're doing that, you have this killer who's walking around stalking you and who can sacrifice you to this really Lovecraftian, like cosmic horror type thing. The gameplay is very tense because if you...
Dude, tense is a fucking understatement in that goddamn game.
Like, if you've ever played... have you played it?
Dude, I played the shit out of Dead by Daylight all the time.
Okay. So
Terrifying.
if you've ever played Alien Isolation, the same effect that you get when you know that the alien is near you and you've got that little gun that shoots like the alien coming towards you is the same kind of dread-inducing thing that Dead by Daylight does, except it does it with sound as opposed to like a visual aid. So you'll hear your heart beating because the killer will be getting close to you, and it is so tense and so much fun. I have a blast playing it. I know it's not for everyone, and it's really especially for me because I'm a horror nut, but I really, really think you should pick it up if you have any sort of inclination for that sort of stuff whatsoever.
Yeah, it's a terrifying thing.
Yeah, man. It's on Game Pass also, Dylan. So if you don't want to try it on PC, you can try it on Xbox for sure to see if you like it.
Definitely going to be on PC. Like day one of moving, I'm downloading it just because I need that good jump start in my heart when it comes to horror games. Like if I bitch out when a clicker grabs me from behind a tombstone, I'm gonna lose it when something happens in that game. Because
dude, me and my group of friends that I play with, there used to be more of us. It was a buddy and his girlfriend, but his girlfriend split up. He got really depressed and was like, "Fuck it, I'm moving to PC," and just kind of dropped all of us. So now it's just 3 of us. But we used to play custom games on Dead by Daylight, and my buddy David, who is always fucked up 24/7. If he listens to this, he can't even get mad because he knows how true that is. If he's not at work, he's not sober, period. He's a great guy, super funny. But we were playing a custom game one night, all 5 of us, and I was the killer, and I was playing as Michael Myers. And out of nowhere, we just hear this man fucking yell as loud as he can. And we're like, what the? Because we all like talked on in like an Xbox party chat while we did it. And we were like, David, what the fuck's up, man? He was like, dude, you walked around that corner, and I swear to God, I felt my asshole in my foot. Because Halloween is my favorite, probably my favorite live action movie franchise. Even though a lot of the movies
are ass.
They're not good. They're really bad.
The majority of the movies in that franchise are just straight up garbage.
Like my favorite kill in the entire franchise is the very first kill that he makes as an adult in the very first movie, where he strangles that bitch in her car.
Yeah.
The camera pans out, and you see her fucking blink, and I lose my shit every time.
Yeah. That's good stuff. It's not good stuff, but yeah.
No, it's not.
Like, there's been alleyway stalkings from the get-go. Now they're strangers.
Honestly. You're just going to be in your car one morning getting ready to go fish, and Josh is just going to pop up from the backseat, caress your cheek.
You're not wrong.
Lord.
That's how it's going to happen. It's black dark outside. Every morning I get ready, and I'm fucking barely awake. I'm running on fumes because I get 3 hours worth of sleep because we record a 6.
He's just gonna rub your cheeks with the back of his hand and shove 2 fingers in your mouth and call it a night.
Dude, that's somehow worse than dying.
Yeah, it kind of probably would
and
be.
it's always with the mask on.
Always with the mask on.
Always. You can't do it with the mask off.
Austin, how about you tell us about what you've been playing?
Oh boy. Well,
Coliseum.
Oh yeah.
I finished Coliseum finally.
You 100%?
No, I'm 2 Pokemon away from 100%ing it, but I finished the main story. And I say that because I'm a dumbass, and I built my team awfully. I did not take some of the later battles in the game into consideration. So, but there's also a difficulty spike out the fucking ass in this game. So when you're rounding up the main story, they give you a location to go to called Relgam Tower. And you go to Relgam Tower, you have to fight all 4 of like the head admins of like this terrorist organization for the second time. 3 of them are kind of pushovers, one of them's kind of an asshole. But you go up, you find a dick ton of more trainers that you don't fucking care about. You stampede through them. They're all in like the early 40s. All their levels are like early to mid 40s. So pretty much by that point, your team is also going to be, mid 40s, maybe early 50s, but that's probably kind of pushing it. You go in elevator to go up to do what you think is the final fight, and then it's like, oh, well, before you fight the final boss, you've got to fight 4 trainers. This is a Coliseum tournament. And you're like, okay, that's annoying. They're all mid to late 40s, super easy, bunch of pushovers. You get to this guy named Nascor, who looks like, if you've ever played Kingdom Hearts, Ansem from the first game, the way that Ansem looked in that game, that's exactly what he looks like, just rendered much worse, because it was a 2003 GameCube game. You beat him, he's kind of difficult, he's in like the mid-50s, and you're like, fuck, that's a fight, it's kind of hard, but whatever, he's not too hard because his team kind of sucks. And then you find out that's not the final boss, and the character, this mayor of like the biggest town in the region that you thought was this great dude, turns out he is actually the final boss. He is the leader of this terrorist organization that you've been fighting the whole time. And he's fucking hard. They did not prepare you for that fight at all, because he is like early to mid 60s. There was no warning. There was nothing. And he's a fucking asshole. And I shit you not, I was stuck on that fight for 6 days. I could not do that bitch for 6 fucking days, because I did such a shitty job at building my team. Except for, like a week ago, I beat it. I beat him for the first time, and I was like, fuck yeah, I fucking did it. I can stop playing this fucking game now. It's taking over all my free time. So I'm letting the credits roll, and I was like, damn, I'm hungry. I'm going to go make some fucking toaster strudels, because it was like 2 a.m., and I was intoxicated. So I came back,
oh my
and I'm like walking to my game room, and I left my door open. I was walking to the game room, and I was like, that's really weird. Why are the TV lights? Why am I not seeing the TV lights on the wall in my game room? And I walk in, I look at the TV, and there's a message on the TV that says, error, disk stopped reading.
Oh, no.
Oh. I knew something bad was going to happen when you said I beat him for the first time.
And sure enough, the game does not save until after the credits. And I guess at some point during the credits, while I was making 4 or 5 toaster strudels, my game stopped reading. So, and then I couldn't get the memento back. It took me like 5 more days. But it did finally beat him. I am 2 Pokemon away from 100%ing this game. I really want to move on to XD because I really want to play that, but I really want to 100% this first.
I commend you
Yeah.
for being able to stick with the game for so long, because as you just heard Josh say was, hey, Dylan, how's Far Cry? Because that's what's on my list. And then I immediately said, oh, I've played 3 other games. And so I can.
Oh no! When I sit down to play through something, I mean, I might take an hour or 2 here and there. Like I think Friday night, me and Madison played Guitar Hero on the fucking Wii for like 2 hours. So sometimes I'll play something else. Like while I'm at work, I actually bought a Game Boy Advance just so I could play Leaf Green and Emerald like while I'm at work or while I'm traveling and doing whatever.
Awesome.
So I've been playing Leaf Green too because I wanted to trade back and forth between Coliseum and Leaf Green. But the game does not fucking tell you that you can't trade with a Game Boy game until in that Game Boy game you have received the National Pokédex, which is like the very last fucking thing you do in every one of the games. So I really appreciate them not.
It's a good game though.
Oh, Fire Red and Leaf Green, phenomenal. Coliseum. It's worn me down to the point where I can't wait to 100% this, put the disc back in the case, and not touch it for another 10 years. But that's exactly what the fuck is about.
Well, I guess it's time to get to the real big event of what we've been playing, and that is The Last of Us Part 2. Well, that's what I've been playing, not that we've been playing it.
It's just you.
I was about to say you can.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was like, I don't even own a PlayStation, bro.
I will go into some spoilers, and I will put a time code in the description of the podcast. So if you have not played it, you can skip over it and go right to the next section. But I probably won't go into anything too in depth, because I don't want this to go on for too long. Because I have a temptation to ramble. Or not a temptation, but you guys know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I guess.
Tendency. That's the word, not temptation. Tendency. Good God, I'm an idiot.
Well, it is 11 o'clock.
It is 11 o'clock. Okay, so The Last of Us Part 2. In short, this game is not a 10 out of 10, and it is not a 0 or 1 out of 10 either. I think it probably, if I had to score it, like if I absolutely had to, it's somewhere in the 8 range.
How dare you use a number?
Yeah, I know.
After all the shit we just talked.
But just as because we were talking specifically about its review scores and stuff like that, that's probably the easiest way to quantify it. Listen, the game's beautiful. Like, it's the best looking game on the PS4, I think, hands down. I don't think, like, the only other ones that are probably in the same breadth as this are, coincidentally, Uncharted 4. And probably, I really think that Horizon Zero Dawn's environments are gorgeous. I don't know, like, really how well the rest of the game holds up in terms of, like, its visuals, but the Horizon, or, like, the environments are very good. But
even still, The Last of Us 2 trumps both of those.
Oh yeah. I was also going to mention Red Dead Redemption 2. That game is absolutely stunning, also. But yeah, The Last of Us Part 2, I think, is probably hands down the best looking game on the system. I also really feel like the combat is really nicely enhanced from the first game, because the first game, the shooting felt really kind of clunky, and the melee felt great, but even still, like, it wasn't on par with what some of the other games at the time were doing. But there are real problems with this game. And the biggest one is, and this is really thematic. It's not really a spoiler, but the game is about violence and like the cycles of violence, and really like the weight that violence brings down on people. And the game really wants you to feel like violence is bad and killing people is bad. And that's great and all, but the problem is you made killing things so much fun to do. Like, you can name, like, they did something really novel and something that I think is really kind of cool in this game, where they've named all the NPCs that you will kill throughout the game. And you can conceivably walk around without having killed like 1 million people like you do as fucking Nathan Drake in Uncharted. But it really, I feel like, almost incentivizes you, especially when you're playing as the second character. It really incentivizes you to just go in with your guns and your bows and arrows and just shoot the fuck out of people, or use your Molotovs and like
started blasting.
like it just, I don't know, it kind of cuts against what you're trying to say, where, you know, violence isn't fun, but you made the killing part so much fun. Like, I don't know if that, like, that's their critique of being like, you shouldn't find video game violence fun. I just don't feel like that's what they're trying to say.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start the story spoilers now. You have been warned. And again, I will put the description of when the next, topic starts, so then you can skip all this if you don't want to hear it. So another thing that really, I feel like, goes against what this game is trying to say in terms of violence, and all of that, is that the game is told out of sequence. And what I mean by that is, so you have the first probably 10 to 15 hours of it told pretty linearly, with some flashbacks sprinkled in here and there to kind of give context to like what Ellie is feeling at any given time. But then at about the 10 to 15 hour mark, you then take control as the second character, Abby, who I think has a really nice story. I actually really like Abby as a character. But the problem is the Abby story is kind of the exact inverse of what Ellie's is. So in Ellie's, you're going to get this, you're going on this revenge thing, and like you go and you're there to kill all of Abby's friends and Abby herself. And so when you're playing as Ellie, you do that. Like, you go and you kill one of Abby's doctor friends, and then you'll go and like you kill one of the other people until you kind of like get to the end and you kill Abby's love interest and his pregnant girlfriend. And the thing about that is I have no context for these characters whatsoever, and I don't care that they're dead, because the entire time that you have kind of had me going along with this is saying, yeah, don't you feel just like Ellie? You watched Joel die brutally. You should feel the same way as her. So yeah, I do feel the same way as her. Joel is a beloved character. Like, I really loved him. And he's dispatched really early in the game, and I want to get the revenge that Ellie wants to get. So when it cuts to Abby and it's like trying to show you that, like, oh, look, these people had their lives too, and they're not all that bad, and they had reasons for doing what they wanted to, or what they had to do. I'm like, that's all good and dandy, but I've already killed these people. It doesn't fucking matter that you're trying to show me that they're good now, because I know where their story ends up. I know that they're dead.
Yeah.
Like, you're not making me feel any empathy for these characters who are are already gone, and you're not making me feel bad for having killed them because they're already dead. Like, I can't. Your whole critique of violence and all of that is just not working because of the way that you structured the story. And I think that I'm going to do a video on this about how I think that the game could have actually been two separate games and could have been structured linearly to tell this really incredible story. But like that's honestly my biggest gripe with it is like I kill these characters who really, for the most part, don't get like. Dina is Abby or is Ellie's girlfriend, and Jesse is Dina's ex-boyfriend. Tommy is Joel's brother, and all of them have way more to do, and I feel way more for them during Abby's timeline, or not Abby. Abby and Ellie sound so similar that I'm getting them mixed up. They're given way more time to grow and for me to care about them in Ellie's chapters of the story than I am ever given any time to care about. See, I don't even remember their names outside of Owen and Mel, and that's, I think, because they're the last ones to die. Like, the other people, I don't know. I still don't know anything about them. Like, and their deaths, like, I just don't care because they're not really characters. They're there as plot devices. And that kills me because what the game is trying to say is like, you should feel bad for killing these people. You should like, because they are people too. They have their own lives and what have you. And they're just not well enough built characters. And I know what's going to happen to them. So it takes any sort of like conflict I would feel about their deaths and throws it out the window because they're not well developed characters and the story is structured weird. Like, it does not resonate with me the way that Naughty Dog intended it to. And like, that really sucks because the rest of the game is really fucking good. Like really fucking good. So it just sucks that it's not the masterpiece that the first one was. Yeah. And I have some other problems with the game, but I feel like they're kind of like minor. Like, I feel like the Seraphites faction that's in the game and the I forget the name of the other faction that's at the very, very end are really touched on. The Rattlers, that's what they're called, the Rattlers. They're touched on, but they're not really given enough of like time to shine because the real story here is the story between Ellie and Abby, and those factions just seem inconsequential. But again, like, that's a nitpick because the rest, like, the game's good, it's really good, but the whole thematic presence and story that they've got there and the way it's structured just does not do it service, and that's really disappointing. But overall, yeah, 8 out of 10.
Not goddamn it.
Well, why don't we get into the news and run through these real quick, and then we can wrap up so we can all get to bed. I know Dylan's probably like losing his mind right now.
I'm
just here chilling, and I'm thinking about why you gave the name closing thoughts, final thoughts, and I'm kind of leading myself down a bad path because I feel like you're going to put a lot of pressure on me here.
Oh no, I'm not. I promise. So the Ubi's.
That's like you saying, no, it'll be okay, Mr. Cow. You've served this family well. Let's go behind the barn, and then you shoot it.
Yeah, and I'm going to eat it for burgers later.
See? Well, you just take it and make it worse. You could have left it.
So the Ubisoft Forward thing happened, right? It was the Ubisoft showcase.
Oh, I missed that.
Did you guys?
No, I didn't even know that.
I know I texted you guys about the Far Cry thing.
I saw that.
Oh,
yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's get it.
Yeah, so there are other things there. Like, I mean, we can run through them really quickly because the rest of them I really don't care about, to be honest with you. a Hyperscape is a new thing. It looks like it's going to be a battle royale thing. Don't care.
It sounds awful.
Yeah, Ghost Recon is adding AI teammates. Again, I don't care. I haven't played a Ghost Recon game that I liked since, I don't know, the original Xbox. So,
I played one
whatever.
on the 360.
Are you talking Wildlands?
Yeah, Wildlands, or no. Sorry, Breakpoint.
I was about to say, bro, are they still supporting Wildlands?
Yeah.
I don't even know which one is the newest one.
That's fair.
I care about.
Breakpoint is the newest one. It came out, I think, November of last year. But
wow.
Yeah.
Well,
they also had some weird. Do you guys remember like PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, or probably much more well-known Smash Brothers?
Played it once or twice.
oh,
Yeah. They're doing a Tom Clancy's Elite Squad thing that kind of looks like a character thing, and it's got a bunch of their characters from Sam Fisher from Splinter Cell all the way through like people from
a lot of cops with masks on.
Yeah, Rainbow Six Siege, like. But it's an iOS game, an Android game, and no one really cares.
No, I did like. It didn't make it on to my honorable mentions, but the Rainbow Six Vegas games from back in the day. Those.
Oh yeah, those were pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking of Tom Clancy, that's the last thing I ever played from him. I have not played Siege at all.
Oh, Siege is very good. I like Siege.
But the thing that got me with Vegas though was like, it was the story. Does this have a story?
No, Siege does not. It's strictly multiplayer.
Great.
Well, I say it doesn't have a story. It kind of has a roundabout story, but it's not important.
It's like an Overwatch.
Like the gameplay.
Got a story, but you don't really care.
Yeah, bad. Exactly.
I like Terrorist Hunt too. That was fun, but
no, Terrorist Hunt's in this one.
I could do that.
Watchdog Legions got a release date of October 29th. This one looks kind of cool, but I don't think anyone plays Watch Dogs. The first one sold kind of well, but the second one didn't sell nearly as well. So
the first one had a really good premise.
Yeah,
or at least I thought it did.
Yeah, no, for sure. It just had like an insufferable main character.
Yeah, didn't care for him. I liked a lot of the aspects that they tried to implement, though, but I just fell off by the end of the game. I was like, whatever. And then I never even looked at the second one.
Yeah, the second one's actually a lot better than the first one, but at that point, I don't think anyone really bought it, so I don't know why they're making a third one, but I don't know. This one looks kind of cool. It could be nice. And I think that they're going to have an option where, like, if you buy it on PS4 and Xbox One, that you'll be able to upgrade. So
games are doing that, thankfully.
Yeah,
that's really cool. Yeah, that's really cool. I'm really appreciating.
They're probably definitely going to. Yeah, they're definitely going to do that with Cyberpunk. They're probably going to do that with Valhalla, the Assassin's Creed.
They've confirmed that they're going to do it with Valhalla.
Okay, I know that's a thing that you're probably really excited about, Dylan.
I'm
very excited for it.
That part of history is one of my favorite parts of history. I love that whole. First off, I think I might have just changed my whole pick of the week, as a matter of fact, since we're talking about Vikings and stuff.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, Valhalla is something I'm very much looking forward to. Assassin's Creed on the Test Run podcast before we had to re-record was actually my number 2 franchise. I took it off because it was the first game, and the first game spawned my whole love for it. But I can speak for so long about that franchise because I know a lot of people hate it. It became mundane, and then they finally did switch it up. They were like, oh my god, it's too much like The Witcher, now I hate it. It's like, well, you asked for a change, and then they gave the best change possible, and now it's like everyone hates this now. So you can't please some people. But Valhalla looks like they're finally perfecting the craft of this new system they have going on, and it looks so good.
Oh yeah, it looks the cinematic trailer was fucking amazing. I'm very excited.
I haven't liked an Assassin's Creed since probably Brotherhood.
No, John.
And the last one that I played was 4, but I didn't play enough of 4 to really give it a chance, I think.
Wait.
So
You didn't play Origins?
no, I haven't played Origins or Odyssey.
Wow, I would be greatly curious to hear your opinions on. But the game has changed substantially since those days.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Oh, great.
Well,
Let's change the topic before I get my feelings hurt again.
I'll maybe give them a shot because I did pick them up during the Xbox Summer Sale because Kayla's little brother wanted to play them, but they're not high on my priority list. There's a ton of other stuff that I've got to get to. But I definitely want to try them again because everyone keeps saying Assassin's Creed has gotten good again. Assassin's Creed has gotten good again. So
it still keeps a lot of the same formula that it had in years prior.
Oh yeah.
It takes the gameplay itself and completely turns it on top of its head. As a matter of fact, you're probably going to hate it because it's like 5 times bigger than it ever was before too. The maps are huge. You can do tons of stuff.
shut your mouth. You're hilarious.
See, the last Assassin's Creed, I played all of them. Well, actually, yeah, I played all of them. Pretty much all the way through, except for Odyssey. I didn't finish Odyssey because I hated it that bad. But the last one I actually really enjoyed was 3.
3 was good. 4 was my favorite.
Okay, I'll give it that. I did like 4 a lot. I like pirates. I thought it was a cool concept.
Yeah, it was fantastic. I know, but I want to know what you think, Josh. That's crazy. I thought you have played those 2, so
I'm actually, I'm curious to that too. I'm surprised that you haven't.
Yeah, I'll give them a shot for sure. The big thing though with this was definitely the announcement of Far Cry 6 with Giancarlo Esposito being the villain.
Oh my god.
I cannot tell you guys how excited I am.
That trailer walked you through just a brief cinematic masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
Set you up for, I don't even know what it sets you up for. Like, just that, oh man. If you've not seen the trailer, you have to watch it.
Yes.
Even if you've never played a Far Cry game before, it will make you want to follow the story of this one, bare minimum. My pick of the week initially was going to be Breaking Bad, and it's just something that girlfriend and I are rewatching right now. And it's a fantastic show that I think everyone should at least give a shot. But Giancarlo Esposito, he's one of the main characters eventually in that show, and he does such a phenomenal job. But just from watching this trailer, you get another sense of just this he just has this knack for just channeling some kind of calm monstrosity deep within his character, and he just drives that in this trailer, and how he's talking to his son. And he's setting his Josh, talk. Please get me off this pedestal I'm on.
No, he has this really great ability to have like it slowly bubbling underneath the surface. He was kind of the same way in The Mandalorian. Like, he was just quietly and calmly evil. And I don't know. He's a really great actor, and I'm super happy to have him as the main villain.
It's going to be different. I feel like this is and I don't want to say this. I kind of root for him as the bad guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, even though he's a terrible person, he's just the bad guy you want to win. Like, he's a charismatic character. When he's speaking in the trailer for a brief second, you get that look into the eye of a dictator, and what he said kind of resonates. It's like you kind of feel and understand what he is saying, because he specifically says it, like, you hold the country tight and you keep it firmly grasped, because if you let go, it'll explode on itself. And I think that's just, just following the story it did through the trailer, you get such a good look into what is coming. Is there a release date for this? There's not, right?
No. Well, I'm fairly positive that it's going to launch sometime early next year, but I don't think they gave an exact date on it.
I was gonna say we'll get a look into what's coming next year, but I didn't think it was going to release this year for sure. But maybe, I mean, who knows? But no, it just looked so good. What did you like from the trailer aside from his main performance? Because I mean, his performance sealed the deal for me. But what drew you in?
The fact that it's another Far Cry game.
Okay.
I love that series. So I think the kind of like, I don't want to call it Cuba because it's it's not really Cuba, but the the analog for Cuba. I'm really excited to go back to a sort of tropical place. That's my favorite setting. Like, I liked Tibet or Iraq. Sorry, like the analog for Tibet in Far Cry 4, and I like the idea of Montana in Far Cry 5, but something about that tropical setting in 3 specifically just really like got me, and I don't know. I'm excited to go back to there.
I hope to follow you there. Like, I bought 3, 4, and 5 because they were just on sale. I'm assuming because of the announcement, they want people to get hyped to get into the story if they're not.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I dabbled. I've never beaten a game from start to finish, so that's what I'm trying to do. Like I said, I got distracted. But Far Cry 3, from what I've seen so far, it's going to be an enticing game. I like the gameplay. I like the mechanics so far. I love the skill tree that I've seen. Like, I love that your tattoo gets expanded based on what you do. That's pretty cool. It just looks like a good franchise. And then whenever this game comes out, hopefully I can get these 3 knocked out and then just jump immediately into this. But it looks so good. And the setting, it's the same, but it's different. Like you said, I mean, Far Cry 3 had Tropic. Far Cry 4 kind of had that. I mean, would you say Tropic? Is rainforest Tropic? I don't really.
I would call it more like like mountainous, yeah.
So there's that, and then like Montana, whatever. That's fine, but like this looks like something different that still kind of holds form of what it has known before. I don't know. Did you play any of the games, Austin?
I played 3 and 5. I had never played a Far Cry game before 5 came out, and the story behind 5, like watching the trailers, the whole like cult, the whole like suicide terrorist cult kind of thing really fucking grasped me, because I've always been really into those kind of stories. There's one off the top of my head, and the name I can't remember. Yeah, the dude, the poison Kool-Aid or whatever. Yeah, that, like,
what was it, Heaven's Gate or something?
Yeah, Heaven's Gate sounds
like that's always just really intrigued me as a person. I don't know if that's fucked up. Not saying I want to fucking join a cult, kill myself. Well, I mean, not to join the cult part. I don't want to do that. But, a little bit of dark humor for your night, I guess.
It just keeps going.
It's not the worst thing that's been said in this podcast, and it's definitely not going to be the worst until it's over.
Most of this podcast, to be quite honest with you, I'm running on fumes.
But
autopilot.
That's the
it's a very intriguing concept, and so I got into it. I didn't finish it. Regret not finishing it. Want to. But way too many other games on my list right now for me to sit down and try to refinish it. Maybe one day. I'll get 6. I'll no doubt buy it. I don't even fucking know what number it's on to. Whatever the next one is. 6. I'll buy it eventually. Probably, I say that, I'll probably buy it at launch and then not touch it for like 6 months. Because that's been my known thing for way too long now. But it looks really good.
It does. Like, if a game can steal me away with a cinematic trailer, I mean, that's something.
Yeah, right. So speaking of Ubisoft, have you guys seen... Well, I'll just lay it out for you. Several of their top executives have been let go due to sexual improprieties.
I did see that.
This has been kind of an ongoing thing for the past couple of weeks, with a lot of people coming out and making accusations against sexual impropriety. There were some in like the Destiny community. There was some in the fighting game community with like Evo and specifically Smash Brothers.
I can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah, like I'm really glad that people are deciding to come forward. But Serge Hascott, who was the chief creative officer. Oh my God, I can't speak. Chief creative officer was let go. Yannis Mallet, the head of Ubisoft's Canadian studios, was let go, and Cécile Cornet, who was the global head of HR for Ubisoft, was also let go. And yeah, so some really, really high level people were let go, and
well, the shitty thing is that's just what we know about. And it's not even from, Ubisoft. It's from literally the entire gaming community, whether it be the people that make the games or the people that stream the games. There's always something there, and it's fucking sickening. Especially, I don't remember in 100% accuracy what happened with the whole League of Legends thing this past year or two, but for the Riot, I think the
Riot walkout or something like that.
It was bad. Yeah. I mean, there's too much stuff like that going on, and it's like, what? I just hope more people keep speaking up, because no one should be able to get away with stuff like that.
Agreed. The troubling thing for me, though, well, maybe not troubling, is so Yves Guillemot is the CEO of Ubisoft. He created the company back in, I want to say, the early 90s with his brother, I think. He's still the head of CEO, or he's still the CEO, and Serge Hascott was basically his right-hand man. So, and no one's saying that Yves Guillemot was, doing any of this stuff, but at a certain point, what's the old saying? The buck stops here, or whatever. The Harry Truman quote. Yeah. Like he's the CEO, and maybe maybe Cécile Cornet was she was the head of HR, so maybe she was not doing her job properly, and it never got up higher than her. But at the same time, I don't really know that Yves Guillemot should still be in charge of the company when, I don't know, his right-hand man was, doing really awful shit.
And it's hard to believe that he didn't know, but I can't.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way for us to know, and that really fucking sucks, especially for anyone who's come forward.
Right.
But
it's just,
again, I feel like he's the head of the company. I
think he knew. In my head, there's no way that somebody that close to him was getting away with something like that for so long, and he's just blissfully ignorant. It's just, that's just not a thing.
Especially because someone said something, and like you said, it's was it said and only it made it to HR? But you got to think, even if HR knows, the head of the company is going to know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm not speaking for the man, but it just seems really, really suspicious that that was allowed to go on. And I'm sure multiple people spoke up, but their voices went unheard. And I'm sure there's still people speaking up, and their voices are going unheard. But maybe,
and that sucks. That sucks to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, dude. Some of the allegations too are they're not even just sexual harassment and stuff like that. Some of them have been just straight up rape.
Yeah.
That's disgusting.
And that's I don't know, man. Seriously, my heart goes out to anyone who was affected by that bullshit, and I'm really glad that people are coming out, and I'm really glad that the people who were, performing the awful acts and misconduct are out of the company.
Hopefully it goes further and something.
Yeah, hopefully something good comes of it.
Are able to come out, because people in positions like that, they tend to, whether they lose their job, people are like, oh well, they lost their job. They're taking a big hit. Like, no, they need a little bit bigger of a hit than that. They need some cuffs slapped on those wrists, chief. Mm-hmm. And people like to throw out. They're like, oh well, all it takes is one person to make a bullshit accusation that other people follow. I'm like, well, for one, I think you're looking at that in a really shitty way. The more people come forward about stuff like that, the more courage other people who have been dealing with the same thing have to come forward with something like that. Mm-hmm. So for you to just disregard it completely, as we said about multiple kinds of people in this podcast, that makes you an asshole. So,
yeah, agreed.
And it's a sad thing. It's a fucked up scenario, and I hope the victims of that controversy receive justice of some kind at some point. Whether it's now or 10 years from now, I genuinely hope those people get the justice that they deserve.
Let's move on to some other awful news, or at least awful news for weebs like me. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Danganronpa series of games, but they're a series of like visual novels that they really had their home on the Vita, but they've made their way to the PS4. They're really weird games about these kids who are trapped inside of a school with like a fucking psychopathic teddy bear named Monokuma.
Huh. Yeah.
And they're really, really fun. They I don't know. I don't know how to describe them. They're just super weird, and I love them. But several of these games are being pulled from the PlayStation Store. It starts, the earliest one is August 31st, going all the way up through the 25th of September. They're being pulled from the digital store. You'll probably still be able to buy them physically, but if you want to buy them digitally, you should definitely take care of that before they're gone. And I don't really know why exactly they're doing this, but I heard some speculation that it might be that Spike Chunsoft, who is the developer of the series, is actually taking the publishing rights away from NIS America and is going to be republishing them themselves, which means that they might go back up on the storefront, but there's a chance that they won't. So if you're interested in all in those, you should definitely pick them up before they're gone. And then the last one, or the last two really, we should roll them up into one. The PS5 production is supposedly ramping up, and Sony is expecting that there is a higher demand than what they thought, and are trying to get 9 to 10 million units ready by launch.
It's really good.
So that's really cool. I also found out yesterday actually that they're limiting pre-orders to one per household, and that's per website. So there are ways to circumvent it. Obviously, like if you go to GameStop and Amazon and Walmart and Target, you can probably get like 4 PS4s, but per website they're limiting it to one per household.
That's awesome.
Which is really cool. So everyone can get their hands on one. But yeah, so the reason that I wanted to tie this together with the other is because Microsoft's big thing is happening on Thursday, right?
Yes.
Their games reveal.
God, I'm so excited.
And I'm expecting them to announce the price of their machine, which means that we'll probably be in about the ballpark figure of what the PS5 will cost. And we'll also have a release date finally for one of these consoles. So I'm pretty excited about all of that.
Yeah.
I'm especially excited that Sony is ramping up production to try to get as many of these out in the wild as possible by, we assume, November. And I'm excited to see all of the games that Microsoft is set to launch with, because what it looks like to me is the PS5 is going to have a pretty strong lineup of games, and I really want to see Halo and know what it's all about. And I really want to see what all of these studios that they bought have been working on for Microsoft, just to see what they've got coming out of the gate for this console.
Oh yeah, absolutely, dude. I'm a big Halo fanatic. That's my all-time favorite first-person shooter franchise, and that
Halo's too.
That's why I literally took a vacation day for Thursday. I'm going to be up at 8 fucking a.m. ready to fucking go to watch that presentation. I don't care if it's, I don't care if it's 15 minutes long. I don't care if it's 4 hours long. That's considering Nintendo. God, did you guys watch the Nintendo Direct Partners Showcase that they did yesterday?
No.
Very disappointing. It wasn't even 10 minutes long. It was 8 minutes. They learned from the Pokemon controversy that they had a couple weeks ago, and they let everybody know beforehand, hey, this is a partner showcase. That means these are third-party developers. These are not first-party Nintendo. We will not be talking about first-party Nintendo titles. And every title that you guys are going to see, you know about. These are announced titles. It's nothing new. We're just giving more detailed information so people couldn't get their hopes up. And they...
Yeah, I am eager to see whether or not this is going to be all first party content that they're going to show, or if it's going to be a mix of first and third party.
I think it's going to be a mix, because that's usually
the reason I say
being
that
honest,
is
this is their
their last one that they had was all third party. So we've seen third party games already on the Xbox One.
Yeah, that's also true. So maybe it'll be something drastically new. So you're right about that. I didn't think about that.
But yeah, we'll see, man. I'm pretty stoked about it. I really want to fucking see Halo. I really want to see what they're doing.
Honestly, yeah.
But
that's kind of it for me. I'm thinking, and then with the Nintendo Direct, they announced a remake of Shin Megami Tensei 3.
Oh, nice.
Switch.
Okay,
that's really cool. That's really cool. And they finally gave us a little, not too much more, but a little more information on Shin Megami Tensei 5, which was announced when the Switch came out.
Oh.
So that's neat. I've seen things floating around here and there that Bayonetta 3 may have had its release date leaked.
Ooh, that's exciting.
You can pre-order it from Walmart, and when you go to pre-order it from, most every game that's up for pre-order that doesn't have a specified release date, they have a placeholder of 12/31, whatever the year is. Mm-hmm. Well, Bayonetta 3 does not. It says if you pre-order it, it'll be delivered January 6th.
Oh, okay. So they probably have a pretty solid idea of when it's coming out.
Exactly. So that might mean January 5th or 6th might be the release date. And
nice. Dylan, did you have any thoughts on the PS5 production or the Xbox One showcase?
I mean, that's been it for me for a long time for Microsoft, because, I mean, their first-party games really aren't that many in terms of what they have. Like we were talking about a little earlier, they acquired a lot of great studios over these past couple of years, and they are heavy-hitting studios that if they come out of the gate with some good first-party titles, Microsoft could really shape this generation the way that Sony did this generation. So with Microsoft coming in the new one, but the one leading that party is going to be Halo. That's the one everyone is excited to see. We're excited to see how the story continues in a world that is going to be very different than what we are accustomed to with Halo and Master Chief. So super excited for that. And it's only a matter of days before we get some rock solid information on what's coming.
Agreed. Yeah, I'm super excited. Well, that's it for our quick little news segment. Let's get the pick of the week stuff done and get out of here. Pick of the week just for anyone who's listening, will be our recommendation for something for you to check out this episode. Since we're bi-weekly, it doesn't make sense for pick of the week, but it is what it is. I'll go ahead and I'll go first. So I'm not too sure how familiar you guys are with the YouTuber iDubbbz, but he is a guy who has been doing stuff since I don't know, forever ago. And a lot of his stuff was really kind of cringy and like really edgy humor and stuff like that. And a lot of his old stuff I don't feel like holds up as much, but he got really famous on YouTube, at least, for doing these videos called Content Cops, where he would take a channel like Keemstar or some other YouTube channel, and he just would tear into them for being awful people. And he's recently kind of gone into like a different direction and does like a whole bunch of stuff. But last year, almost a year from now, I think it was in early August, maybe mid-August, he released this 53 minute documentary called Full Force. And basically what it is he went to, I believe it was Battle Creek, Michigan, and went and made this sort of like semi-documentary on this other YouTuber called, what is his name? Airsoft Fatty. That's what it was. And it's this really, really big kid who... He makes videos, I mean, literally everything. He makes like cooking videos where it's really funny in the documentary. Like you see him doing a quote unquote cooking with Fatty, where he'll make a meal. And the meal was, he took a TV dinner, heated it up in the microwave while he made some ramen, and then he threw the microwave TV dinner contents in the fucking ramen and was like, here you go. This is like a full course meal or some shit like that. And that made me laugh. But like, the thing that Airsoft Fatty is really known for, and kind of got his like fame, so to speak, on YouTube, is for these really, really bad renditions of lightsaber duels, where he and his friends would just go out in their backyard and just fight each other with these toy lightsabers. And the documentary kind of has some moments of like it almost feels mean-spirited. It almost feels like iDubbbz is making fun of this guy, but at the end of the day, it's really not. It's just that really what it is this guy is being himself, and he is doing what he wants to do, and he's making a living off of it, man. The Airsoft Fatty guy has a Patreon, and he has a following. I think he has almost 200,000 subscribers on his YouTube channel. Like, he's managed to take what a lot of people would call cringe and make a living for himself. And, you know, like I said, it kind of feels mean-spirited in some spots because it is something that like a lot of people would make fun of, and that kind of sucks. But when you're watching it, like, he does this really nice kind of wrap up at the end where he kind of explains it like, you know, a lot of people would call this cringe, and I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but he's like, a lot of people would call this cringe, but what really is cringe? And like, if cringe is what Airsoft Fatty is doing, then like, he is cringe, and I'm okay with that. And, you know, everyone should be cringe because it means that you're doing something that you love. And like, even though there are tinges of like this really kind of wicked sense of humor in there, it has this beating heart that really I was not expecting from a fucking iDubbbz video.
Hell yeah.
And I really think that it's worth a watch if you get a chance. Like I said, it's like 53 minutes, and it really just kind of takes a look at this YouTuber's life who you may have never heard of, honestly, but it's him doing something that he loves. And I don't know, that to me was something that spoke to me, and it really like warmed my heart, and it's really good.
Boom. Who's next?
Yeah, Austin, let's go with you.
So, pick of the week, bro. What should I recommend? Well, I'm gonna go. Usually, when we do this, I'm probably gonna talk about anime because that's kind of the only other interesting character quality about me besides video games. That's so sad to say. But Fire Force. Fire Force is really good. I was very shocked. Because I felt like it was going to be really fucking stupid. Because I was like, okay, it's a bunch of kids that are firefighters fighting fire demons that can also control fire. Like, the whole plot itself was very, okay, well, this doesn't make any fucking sense. But it's not that at all. It's a very deep, complex thing. There's a lot of edgy moments if you're into that. It's there. It's there for you if that's your fucking cup of tea, I guess.
Very cool. Very cool. All right, Dylan, why don't you send us home?
Take me home.
Send us home,
My pick
brother.
of the week
Brother.
coincide with Assassin's Creed Valhalla is a show on Netflix called The Last Kingdom. And
Ooh.
it is a fantastic show set way back when it was the Anglo-Saxons versus the Vikings, when Last Kingdom to be defended was Wessex. And this was back when England was divided into 7 kingdoms, I believe, and it follows the story of a boy who is essentially taken from his Anglo-Saxon roots, implanted into the Danes through events that happen. I'm not going to spoil anything in this because I think it's definitely worth the watch. And then eventually having to choose between what side of the family, what side of history he falls on. Is it the Anglo-Saxons where he was born, or is it the Viking Danes that he was raised with? And it is a truly, truly fascinating story that lasts, I believe, 4 seasons. And it's a gripping tale from start to end, and I think everyone should give it a shot, especially if you're looking forward to Valhalla like I am, because it will get you pumped up.
Word.
Awesome. Very cool. All right, well, that was our show. We thank everyone for listening who decided that it was a good idea to listen. I just mixed a whole bunch of words there because I'm very tired.
Yeah, we don't need to go to bed, G. We're all shot at this point.
Yeah, to get those to go do those fishes.
My pick of the week was going to be for people to go outside and go fishing, but I decided not to go that route.
Oh my God.
Yeah, God forbid someone go outside.
Well, yeah. So be sure to review us. 5-star reviews would be great. And also, seriously, I made a call in the last episode to, like, if you know anyone who would be interested in this, text them, send them a link, be like, hey, you should really check this out. It would really go a long way, because, sharing on social media doesn't mean much anymore. And
Feedback.
And feedback, man. Like, any sort of feedback would be wonderful. So, yeah. So for Dylan Martin and Mr. Austin Stevens, I am the host, Josh McMullen. We will see you next time.